Hello everyone, Silva here and welcome to the next video in my Fred introduction series. In this video we will have a look at the events editor, which is one of the most powerful and most critical editors in the whole Fred application. Here I will only give a general overview on the events editor, but later on in the series I will create separate videos in which I will tackle specific questions or situations and look at how we can solve these questions with the events editor. Actually, this editor should really be named Events and Messages Editor, since we can create both of that here, but as messages are tightly connected to the event system, it makes sense to combine them in one editor. So let's start then with messages. They are in the right part of this editor. As you can see, here's a list of messages with buttons for creating new messages and deleting messages, quite simple. The name, as in other editors, identifies the message for usage within Fred, and the message text is what is actually displayed in-game once this message is played. Message properties are quite easy to understand. The any file is the animation file that is shown when this message is played. It's the so-called talking head. With the browse button you can select the file you want to have played. The WAV file is the sound file played for this message. It is called WAV file for legacy reasons, but it can actually be a WAV file or an OGG file. Browse again, you can select the file. The play button allows you to play the file to see if you have selected the correct one. The persona selection is the same as in the ship's editor, although it is not that important here because selecting a persona in the ship's editor has the same effect, but it is easier to select it once per ship instead of selecting it for each and every message separately. Last but not least, the team selection is only important when you have a multiplayer team versus team mission, because then you have to select for which team the message is intended. Okay, that's it for messages. Now let's go on to events. When you create a new event, you will get this blue dot in the events list. You can right click it to edit the name of the event in order to keep overview on all your events, because there will be quite a lot of them. When you expand the event, you will see a sexp, which consists of two branches, one condition branch and one action branch. For the condition branch, you have access to a wide array of condition operators. For example, in the objectives category, you will find ship destroyed, ship arrived, ship departed. In the logical category, you can find time elapsed. Then there's status, cargo and subsystems, and a lot more. I will not go into a full list of all operators here because that would definitely blow up this video. So once this condition is true, then the action branch of the event will be executed, and once again you have access to a wide array of action operators for the events. For example, you can control ship behavior, you can change ship status, you can play messages, that's where the messages come in, and so on and so on. Again, a large list, I will not list all of the operators here. For each sexp operator there's a help window in the lower right part of the screen, where a short summary of the operator and its meaning is displayed, along with a list of the parameters needed for that operator and how to fill them with values. Directly below the events list are two important fields, the directive text and the directive key press text. Directives are the smaller cousins of objectives. Directives are shown within the game UI on the left side in standard interface and show short-term orders for the player to follow. For example, destroy wing Cancer, scan subsystem X, protect ship Y, and so on and so forth. Those directives are tied to events that have to become true to complete the directive. The key press text can be used in combination with the hotkeys assigned to wings or ships, so you can give the player a hint which hotkey they can use to target, for example, specific ships that are mentioned in a directive. As a kind of visual indicator that an event is associated with a directive, the blue dot of the event turns red as soon as there is a directive for this event. For all events, but for directive events in particular, there's one crucial concept that you have to understand, and that is event chaining. As you can see in the center of the screen, there's a checkbox called chained and below it the chain delay. Chaining is the concept of bringing the events in a specific order in which they will be evaluated. That means that a chained event will only be evaluated once the event directly prior to it is true and completed. As long as the event prior to it is still false, this chained event will not be evaluated and can never become true. The reason for why it is so important for directive events to be correctly chained is that non-chained events will be evaluated throughout the whole mission as long as they are not yet true. That means that the directive associated with that event will already be shown at the very start of the mission, even if there is no chance yet to complete that directive because it is not yet relevant. By chaining your events, you can A. simplify your condition branch, and B. make sure that those events that are only relevant in later stages of the mission will only be evaluated in those later stages, and as such, the directives will only be shown once they become relevant for the mission. The chain delay then allows to put some time between the previous event and the chained event. In a large mission, that can lead to a very long chain of chained events. So for example, this one here is the event screen of the first mission for my new path campaign. It is not a very long mission, but as you can see, it has already quite a lot of events and most of them are in fact chained. You can see that very quickly when you look at the events, because a chained event will have a chain symbol instead of the red or blue dot. A red chain symbol if it is a chained event with a directive, and a black chain if it is an event without directive. Okay, let's come to the remaining fields, and there we have in the center of the screen repeat count, trigger count and interval time. Let's start with trigger count because it's easier to understand. Trigger count allows you to set a maximum number how often an event shall be executed. So default is 1, but if you set it to 5, then it means that the event can be executed at maximum 5 times. The interval time allows you to set a delay between one execution of the event and the next check if the trigger condition is still fulfilled or if the event has to be reset to false condition. The repeat count, on the other hand, allows you to set a maximum number how often the game will then check again if the condition is fulfilled. So for example, if you set the repeat count to 9 with a 5-second interval time, the game will check every 5 seconds for 9 times if the condition of the event is true. After that, it will never check the event again. Those two fields are only important for repeatable events, which are kind of rare in most missions. The score field allows you to give a score to a specific event, kind of like the scores work for ships or objectives. And then we have the checkboxes in the lower left part of the screen, which are important for the event log, which is a debugging mechanism for the mission. So while the mission runs in free space, this event log can be written and there you can see when the events trigger, if they trigger and how often and under which condition and so on and so forth. So it can help you to debug a mission if it does not work as anticipated. So that's it for the general overview of the events editor. As I said before, I will create videos with specific questions and their solutions for the events editor in later stages of this series. In the next video we will have a look at the team loadout editor, which is quite simple, so it will be a rather short video compared to this one. So far I can only say thank you for watching, see you in this next video if you like to. Until then, take care and goodbye.